7.1 changed our gear levels and added new ways to suit up. So you know what that means? It means stat talk. That and more on this episode of the SWTOR Escape podcast from newoverlords.com. Our broadcast hashtag today is EPC 435. And with me is my co-host, Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Hi, Max. It's going really well. Due to some conversations between you and Medulla in our Discord and some other people, I finally sort of coalesced some of my thoughts about gear. So like what I've been saying the last couple of weeks is that I was having gear thoughts and looking at gear and trying to decide which was the way forward. And so today, I figured it out for myself, at least this step of it. And we can talk about that when we get to stat talk, what I did.
Yeah.
But I did that today. And it was a culmination of a couple of weeks of just thinking about it and looking at this and looking at that. And because it's kind of a big sort of picture with lots of moving parts. But anyway, but I do want to say that this week, MFN, we had a really fun night. It was Corley's first time officially running it since he took over from BC, and it went really well. We had a great time. And then we had our ops night tonight. We actually did not run anything. We sat in Discord and talked about gear and gear options, and I was like pulling out augments and trying not to lose them and putting them in and all that stuff. And then like Sten ran a few. Actually, he won something like 6 BGs in a row, war zones in a row, which is like he was really stoked about. And I ran a black hole, and Machete ran some CZ198, and we were just doing various things to get the stuff we needed to finish the last bit of gearing. So
Of upgrading.
that was our ops night tonight. But yeah. But I haven't been to the nightlife yet. Have you, Max?
I have not. I did lots of things, but I have not yet been to the casinos. I was in quite a bit this week, but well, this is how it goes, and it's gonna be my own damn fault.
Right.
But that's how it goes. I'm okay with that. I got a lot of things going on, even within this Star Wars: The Old Republic world. So, I know we will someday, and that day may never come. We will ask, is nightlife still going on? And it won't be. But today is not that day. Anything else?
No. How was your week?
It was good. So I queued up a couple times for Master Mode Flashpoints. The queues for DPS, even during like weeknight prime time, were not that short. So not a lot of people are running Flashpoints apparently. Make sure you don't have, like, I think when I first queued up, and I corrected myself relatively quickly, only like after waiting 10 minutes and getting frustrated, make sure when you queue up, you do not have filters on, because I had filters on because there was, one of the conquest objectives would, when we were running Galactic Season, there was only 4 that you could run to get credit. Right. So I had everything toggled off except just a couple, and then it'll never pop. So I toggled everything back on. And I ran, let's see, what did we run? I ran a Spirit of Vengeance Master Mode. So it wasn't super easy ones that I ended up doing. Spirit of Vengeance and Objective Meridian were the 2 that I ended up queuing into. With a
How did they go?
Good. We got them done. We got the Spirit of Vengeance. We had 1 wipe, just bad luck with a tank not hitting the cooldown on the very first boss. That dude. Otherwise, we blew through that place, and it wasn't too bad. And even did the bonus boss, which I had not done before, which is cool. Objective Meridian was a little dicier. Objective Meridian, if you don't remember, is where you're assaulting the big plant, and you either fight Malgus at the end if you're coming in on the Republic side, and if you're on the Imperial side, you're fighting Tau Idair. At the end, once you go like up the tower, and you meet the other Theron on the way up. But you don't meet him in that's just like in the cutscene story part of it. But there's a lot of trash packs down on like the ground level when you're winding your way through. And if when we were doing it back in the day, when it first came out, which is not too long ago, if you're really careful and you like step in the fire here and you jump up on the wall here, you can like get around those trash packs. Well, we because they got a group of 4 and everybody's trying to go. The lead was trying to go quick. Aggroed a couple extra of those. By the time we were 2/3 of the way through, I could tell a couple people were on edge, and then a couple comments went out, and just a couple, it ended up with like, we should do this way, we should do this way. Oh, I blew this, and then there was that's because you don't know how to tank. And then the reply was, or is it because you don't know how to heal? And I cut in and I said, hey, we're doing fine. We're all fine here. Let's just go. And no more comments then. And we got through and we finished it up and it was fine. But you could tell people were getting a little on edge. We did have like, 3 or 4 wipes throughout that night, that instance. But that, I didn't mind it. Things don't have to be super easy, barely inconvenience. You want to play a game, you want a little bit of a challenge. So we wiped, we didn't get it done. We had to, like 3 people were dead and 1 person's alive and the boss is down to 1% and they kill it. And hey, it was nearly a wipe, but it wasn't. We're balanced. We walked that knife and we still got through it. That's kind of fun. That's a moment. If everything's just blam, 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 shoot, 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 you're not, stop looting because you're just going too slow. We just need to get through so we can get some currency. That's kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't mind it.
I agree.
I did mind the queue times, so I didn't prefer that. So, but besides that, it wasn't bad. I did that. I also did swoop racing because I'm not maxed out on the rep for swoop racing, so I ran all of the races a couple times, finished the weekly on swoop racing, and may do it again on another character too, just so I could max the rep for the week. Maybe even bank some rep on that. And then I did playing with gear just a little bit, which we'll talk about in detail. That's what I've been up to in Star Wars: The Old Republic. In outside Star Wars: The Old Republic, we didn't do our little pre-roll because we kind of have a week off with the Behind the Games podcast because we have new guests in the queue, and we've got a handful now that are queuing up, but we didn't have things lined up so that we would be able to get an extra one out today. But there's going to be some good ones coming.
Yep.
Good ones coming. Coming down the road, and it might be some people, some names that the Star Wars: The Old Republic audience recognizes. We'll see. Little hint there. Jump in our Behind the Games, our New Overlords Discord. Go to newoverlords.com, click the Discord in the upper right there. I tend to drop hints on who the guests are in the Discord when we're leading up to it. I usually wait to make sure that the recording session actually happens, but I'll drop some hints. We've got some really good ones coming up. So that, and then my business tech podcast, my emerging technology future tech podcast, had a new one of those that came out this week as well, which was kind of cool. I retweeted it from my Max the Gray Twitter if you want to see that one. It's about artificial intelligence and model drift due to the last 2 years of changing data and sentient AI. And we get into that. It's with an AI lead from Google, who is really cool. She was great. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff I've been doing. Oh, and I got those new business cards. You see those? I put those on Twitter too.
Mm-hmm. I did see those.
Prepping for PAX, gonna go there. I don't know if there's gonna be much Bioware there. It might just be some individuals, and if there are, I will catch up with them and see what we can find out for this show. But people do tend to use business cards there, which I wouldn't necessarily have expected. We've got all this digital technology in our hands. The problem with the digital tech is there's 15 different ways to trade contact information with a phone, and nobody has the same ones. So if like everyone was using LinkedIn and had LinkedIn open on their phones, you could use that. If everyone was, had whatever, extra app or, I don't know, everything probably does it. you could do that with just like a tap. You could tap your phones and they would trade contact, but not enough people do. And then you're like fiddling around trying to open an app and pressing a button. Whereas a lot of stuff's going on. People are like, oh, you got a card. So I have Behind the Games podcast, newoverlords.com, Star Wars The Old Republic. I don't know if I put the SWTOR podcast on that one because that's more Behind the Games focused on that card. And then a QR code on the back, which again, then they can just scan that and they'll get right to all the contact information. But I liked them. They were cool and they have weight. Gambit could really fling those things. What was that sketch show that had the X-Men getting fired on that sketch show? They did one with Gambit with the guy from Silicon Valley. Okay, I'm sure nobody knows what I'm talking about now, but if any of those words, you could put any of those words into YouTube and find that is a hilarious sketch. And the outtakes of him talking like Gambit and them doing the improv is just hilarious. So the whole thing is Professor Xavier, the sketch show, this is like 10 years old now or 8 years old now. I forgot what the dude's name was. The sketch show is very funny. He's Professor Xavier, and he brings in various X-Men and fires them because they're just terrible. So Gambit comes in, and he's like, he's got like a file folder on his desk. He's like, so, Mr. Gambit, what do you do? I throw things. So you throw things. Yes, I throw playing cards. And he's like, okay, well, what if you ran out of things to throw? Oh, I could throw anything. I could throw a sandwich. So let me get this straight. You throw things. So anyway, he fires him. It's hilarious. That's what I've been doing. Let's see what else is in the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
Did I think we were going to have a short show, Seema? We're not going to have a short show.
No.
Not too much in the news. So we've got extra time to talk about this side stuff. That's what you're getting tonight, folks. So there you go. In the actual news, the only bigger thing that happened that is news is 7.1a came out. 7.1a. And in 7.1a, we got basically some bug fixes that we were waiting for. There were the IP robot, which we like to kill every day, the IP daily robot.
Right.
Do you see me walking towards that every time I start saying?
Yes.
The
Max is entertaining himself.
Daily robot no longer disappears under the floor when pulled after the group wipes in R4 anomaly. Many of you probably have not seen that because, of course, you never wipe on any bosses. And we had to just read about this being a bug, of course. No, we encountered this bug time after time last week.
Yes, we did.
That was a big barrier to actually getting many attempts done. It was a real difficult situation because it would like fall through the floor and you'd all have to zone out. You didn't have to reset and do the trash over again, but you'd have to like go back in and hope he was kind of reset in the correct way.
The best part was when Corley force leaped to him when he was under the ground.
Yeah.
Corley ended up in space.
Yeah, like falling infinitely in space with like stars like flying by.
Yeah.
He gave us pictures and screenshots. So it's too bad we can't do that. I didn't have any kind of leap. I wanted to do it with him. Also, which I complained about last week on the podcast, the Manon daily area missions now reward 3 daily resource matrices and 30 tech fragments. And then the weekly rewards 25 or 30, 25 resource matrices and 1 noble Decurion distribution chest. Okay, that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. They and I expected that. Otherwise, there would be just doing it for rep would not. That is not the way. So that's good. Anything else in here that we missed, Seema?
We could just talk about, you mean in the patch notes?
In the patch notes, they say Theron Shaw no longer appears in the cinematic of digging deeper if he's dead. I hate those kind of bugs. I actually don't mind those kind of bugs. This is the kind of thing that drives me crazy because it's such a complicated thing for the development team to keep that all sorted for our benefit.
I mean, I just feel like this particular bug never bothers me because I wouldn't ever consider killing Theron Shan.
I
and,
kill
like,
as few characters as possible, whether I like
Right.
them or not,
Right.
because it's fun to have characters around.
Some of them, somebody's gonna die. You just have no
Right.
control. But yeah. So I feel like, oh, that's a bug that doesn't affect me. It only affects Theron Shan killers.
Yes, you evil Theron Shan killer people.
Right. Right. But I don't know why it's always Theron.
I don't know.
Like there'll be a content drop, and then the next week there'll be like fixed a cutscene where Theron Shan appeared to players where he's
It's
right.
because the Theron Shan AI has become self-aware and
No,
sentient,
no,
and he
no.
keeps like he's just like popping in.
My theory is that he's
I can be in here. Hi, you're dead in this
my
one. Oh, I'm
my
not.
theory is that he's a popular character. People always want to put him in scenes, and then they forget. So I mean, it's not that it happens with him more often, but he's in more scenes, so it seems more often.
I think he's not dead yet.
Not dead yet.
Or he was only mostly dead.
Yeah.
Let's see. Players are no longer blocked during the SOA's encounter in Eternity Vault Operations Story and Veteran Mode. Good. Teleports in the Imperial missions in Manon are now working correctly. Good. Couple other bug fixes. This is the kind of stuff we were waiting for. Thank you very much. I like the bug fixes. All right. What else we got?
Just the in-game events for August. Right now, I bet you didn't know this, but right now, Nar Shaddaa Nightlife is going on.
No way.
And it will be until September 13th this year, 2022. So on September 14th, it'll be gone.
So on September 15th, when I ask you, is
It'll
Nightlife
still be
going
gone.
on? Huh. That's not that long away. That's like a month away, I guess, 5 weeks. Okay.
Also this week, though, is this is Hoop Rally, which you mentioned because you went there. And then at the end of August, the 23rd,
I couldn't find it.
through the
I couldn't
30th,
find it. And finally, I saw it over the horizon and I said, swoop, there it is.
There it is. Well done. Well done, Max. Okay, and then last thing is Rakul Resurgence on Tatooine.
Did you guys hear Seema's eyes rolling right there? I did. I could hear them.
I did not roll my eyes. In fact, I said, well played.
I heard the eye rolling in your tone.
The clickety clackety sound of my eyes rolling.
Yes. And then I can do guild and community news then. As we're talking about in the lead up, we've got a little bit of our mandatory fun nights switched over. I think there's it's still going to be the same sort of fun. Those are on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Central Time on Starforge. Anybody wants to jump in, just jump in our Discord and say, hey, I'll go along with you. A lot of it's usually just casual stuff, and there's just a lot of chat. I was talking a little too much. I felt bad afterwards on Thursday night. I was going on, and I was droning on and on about, what was I droning on about?
AI.
AI? Was that what I was talking about? I did talk for quite a while, but it was someone. Oh yeah, machine learning and AI and machine learning in general, and how it could be used for things like digital twins
And digital doppelgamers, blah. I can't brain either. Doppelgangers.
Instrumenting jet engines, doing Monte Carlo simulation with machine learning. That kind of thing. But we talk about movies and Star Wars and that kind of stuff too. To see now, nobody's gonna come. I sold it real hard, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Oops. Come anyway. Come for the talk about IT technology. Stay for the rampage and the achievements and the conquest points.
And the dad jokes.
A lot of dad jokes. Shout out to the chat room who is admiring the dad jokes for some definition of admiring right now. And helping us get our audio straightened out and working earlier in the show. I really appreciate that. And we will catch up with all of you in the chat room after a bit. But now it is time to get rid of all our old armor by setting it on fire.
Power will be yours if you are willing to burn.
Did you burn all of your old armor, Seema?
That was a stretch, Max.
That was good. That
I
was
admire.
smooth.
I admire that stretch.
Power.
I
More
actually,
power in your armor stats can be yours if you're willing to burn your old armor. It was exactly what he was talking about.
but you don't have to burn your old armor. Not the way I did it, anyway.
You have to burn one piece. So why don't
Yes.
you tell us what your stat talk? Here we go, guys. Here we go.
This is it. Okay.
Stat talk.
So what I did, because I had in my bags,
Where are you? I will inspect you.
I
Because I
had
don't
a
believe you.
I had a I got disconnected.
No, you're right here.
Well, maybe, but not on my screen. So I had in my bags, I had one or two kalumi pieces, and I had one or two ricotta pieces. So, and I hadn't equipped them. In the case of the ricotta pieces, it was because one was an implant, and so I wasn't good. I wouldn't replace my implants with a non, legendary implant, and one was a relic of the type that I don't use. So, um, there are some quest givers on the fleet that when you talk to them, they give you a mission to deconstruct a blue or a purple item of gear, and the idea is that they're going to learn from that, so that then they can make you some armorings, mods, and enhancements.
Yeah, we'll go see them in a minute, and we'll talk through that in detail. But
So that's what
yeah.
I did. I took that ricotta piece, one of the ricotta pieces, and I took one of the kalumi pieces, and because I had enough of the operations currency just from playing the game, really, I upgraded them both to 330. And then I went, and then I got the missions, and I deconstructed them, and then I was able to buy mods, and then I went back and just equipped just an old shell set of armor that I had, and then I filled it up with 330 armorings, mods, and enhancements. And because I DE'd a purple, and by the way, when I deconstructed, by the way, when I say please don't deconstruct your 330 something until you have the quest
Yes.
asking you to do that.
And we'll show you that in just a second too.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a specific way to do it.
Right.
To get those unlocked. Be careful.
But anyway, and then on my earpiece and the two relics, I just upgraded them the conquest way, so they're 330 greens.
Yeah, I can't inspect isn't working. I can't see any of your gear, but I can see your item rating is 330.
Yep.
That's pretty sweet. I did it for my weapons so far. I didn't do it for my other gear pieces yet. That's all I had time for earlier. But so what we're going to talk through tonight is what happened to the item levels, what gear sets are available, what the paths are to getting that gear, and then this thing with the mods in particular, the 328 and 330 mods. And those are the only two item levels that you can get mods on, but you can get them in blue and purple in those 328 and 330. So we'll give you our approach. And then beyond that, beyond 330, then you're getting into R4, and that's the only way to get gear above 330. PvP gear is slightly different also. So yeah, I'm at 330 with the weapons. Blue 330. So here's the other thing. There's green, blue, and purple. Green, blue, and purple all have about the same stats with a slightly different mix of where those stats fall that are more optimal for the, blue is more optimal than green, purple is more optimal than blue, but the total stat pool is the same between them. So you're not actually getting like a more powerful, you're not getting like a higher item level, or your weapon wouldn't have more damage on it. What you are getting, though, is, say, for a DPS piece, the blue will have less stats spent on endurance than the green one will, and instead that will be in power or the tertiary stat of crit or alacrity or whatever. So it does tend to be more powerful than you, but it's only a little sliver. But so you want blue, or you ultimately want purple, and so we'll talk about the way to get that. All of the sets now, all of the base sets that we had before 7.1, all of those now go up to 330. Some of them only went up to 324, like Taiwanese. That now goes to 330. Conquest gear went up to 326 green. Now that goes up to 330 green. Flashpoint gear went up to 326 blue for the mesh mode Flashpoint gear. That now goes to 330 blue. And then Kalomi was blue operations gear. That now goes to 330. Rakata is the only one that hasn't changed. So that still goes to 330 purple. But it does go to 330 purple, and that's an important milestone if you want purple enhancements when we talk about the enhancement vendor. So yeah, so those are the sets. As you're doing content, as you're doing, say, Flashpoint content, like, so how many pieces are green 330 on yours right now, Seema, versus blue 330?
My 3.
So
My ears and my relics.
yeah, okay. So the relics and the earpieces are green 330. But if you're wearing a green 330 piece, when you're doing things like Master Mode Flashpoints, which drops blue gear, or the box that you get at the end, you will get side grades for the other 330 pieces you have, and it will go after those green pieces and give you a blue version of that piece. The static pieces are better than the modded pieces also that we're talking about.
Right.
So even using all the mods to give, like what Seema did, to give herself a full set of 330 modded shells. Now, if Seema goes and runs Master Mode Flashpoints, she'll get a static piece of 330, which will be the mix will be slightly better.
And that's really why I did it, because I don't want to upgrade Flashpoint gear ever.
Right. Because, and why is that, Seema? Why do you not want to upgrade Flashpoint?
Because it takes too much currency, and you don't get enough currency for running the Flashpoint.
Yeah, why is this? So you get like a pittance. You get like 3, 5. No, I think you might get like 3 per boss. So you might get like 15 of the Flashpoint currency items per Flashpoint that you run. And to upgrade one weapon, one single, why is there nothing on this vendor? Can you just show me? Oh, that's operation upgrades. I don't care that I can't buy it. Just show it to me anyway. So to upgrade one of I still have a 326 Supreme Decurion blaster pistol in my inventory. To upgrade that to 328, just to 328, not even all the way to 330, it's 205 FP1 stabilizers. So I've run Master Mode Flashpoints on and off since 7.1 drop. I've never spent a single one of these Flashpoint currencies, and I still don't have enough to even upgrade a single piece of any of this gear. What about even like the bracers? I could upgrade bracers. I have 161, and whereas like to get the Warzone accelerants, I was eating those like candy. So Flashpoints are very slow. So now Flashpoints are very slow to do the upgrade path. So Starry Saber is saying that in the chat room. Flashpoints are very slow to do it the upgrade path all the way from where they start at 324, 322.
Like, I mean, granted, I'm more likely to do ups than Flashpoints, but when I started this upgrade path today, I had, I don't know, 800 or 900 of the ops currency and not enough Flashpoint currency to upgrade even one thing, which is why I picked the blue ops piece to upgrade and deconstruct, because I could easily do it, and I couldn't do it with the Flashpoint.
Right. So now, still running those Flashpoints to get the side grades of the static pieces once you get to 330.
Totally worth it, yeah.
Like if you get all green, if you just take your Conquest gear and you get that all, get outfitted to green 330, and then go run. Just show me. Dang it.
Yeah.
Just then go run the master mode flashpoints as I am saying. You'll get those blue 330 side grades. And also you'll get blue 330 when you go into story mode R4 and start killing bosses. Story mode R4 is a different set. And so it's not the Supreme Decurion. It's even a tiny bit tweaked armor set, which is...
You mean it's not Kalumi?
It's not Kalomi. It's not Supreme
Or not
Decurion, which is
Tianese.
It's not Taiwanese, not Kalomi.
Right.
Kalomi's the blue. It's not Supreme Decurion, which is the blue Flashpoint gear. It is called... I've got it here. Yes, it is the... And this we can see on the vendor because they show it to us, even though we can't see. It is the Hazardous Delver. It's the hazardous and virulent versions of your class set. So for me as a merc, it's Bounty Hunter. So I would get hazardous and virulent versions of the Bounty Hunter set, which are the three. I think that's 328 versus 330. Those two names. And then there are cosmetic sets on these vendors. So we'll show that now. And then there's the hazardous and virulent versions in vet mode. Vet mode. I was looking at a couple guides. I think I looked at like Zamzams and Volks. All of them say Nightmare. None of them say Master Mode Operations. They put it on their little charts. NIM only say Nightmare. All everybody.
That's funny when you think about it, yeah. And yet everybody always knows what you mean.
Yes. So I was trying to catch myself to say the right thing. Vet mode of R4 will give you the vet mode versions of the gear for R4, which goes up to 340. I think it starts at 332 even. It starts at 332 and can get upgraded to 340 or even drop directly as 340 pieces. You get like a couple of them dropping off of each of the boss for a group of 8 that you can trade around. But that's vet mode. That's vet mode R4. And vet mode R4 is equivalent to Nightmare rating. But basically it's a hard mare is what they used to call it, because it used to be called hard mode and Nightmare. This was sort of a blend. This is them putting in this interim operation that's sort of like in the middle of the story, in the middle of this arc that's getting us through the 7.x time frame. And they did this with another of the operations earlier, where they're probably not going to have a Nightmare mode of this operation. They could, but for now, to get that upper tier gear, they're gonna make you work for it. That's why it's this extra hard version of a vet mode. But yeah, so you want to be at 330, and that's what we're gonna do. For something like my guns, like 330 over like 328. I had like the 328 purple PvP guns. The 330 is a definite upgrade because for weapons, especially if you're using the weapon for direct damage, say that you're a melee force user DPS, or you're a gun wielding tech DPS, the only classes that aren't going to use it much are things like Sorks, caster DPS. But if you're using the weapon damage, there is significant weapon damage upgrade to go to from 328 to 330, even from purple 328 to blue 330. So it was, I definitely wanted to upgrade those. That was the first thing I upgraded. That's why that's the only thing I put to 330 in case we're going to run tonight. The other pieces going, like I'm at full 326 purple Thyrisian gear, which is the PvP gear. Getting that to 330 will be a nice stat boost and power boost, but it's not as big an upgrade as the damage on your hilt or your barrel. Okay. Taking a side tour for just a second, the Thyrisian gear is the PvP gear. I used this as my path to get full purple 326 in the pre 7.1 era. Why am I not using this to get up to, to get full purple for 7.1, past 7.1?
Because it only
Because
goes to 328.
PvP gear only goes to 328. Exactly. So you can get purple 328, and I could even use a piece of purple 328 to unlock purple mods off the mod vendor that we're going to get to here shortly. But it only goes to 328. It doesn't go to 330. So again, the 330 weapons, the 330 static pieces are going to be slightly better than the 328 purple pieces. All my Thyrisian gear is useless now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be replacing all of it. I am willing to burn. I did have... Yep.
I mean, before when we were talking about this, it looked like you were going to have to upgrade each piece. Like switch to a new set, a non-PvP set, and then upgrade each piece. Instead, now you just need to upgrade one piece.
And buy a whole bunch of mods to get to the mod version of the gear
And
tier
then
blue 330.
you use those mod versions, which, like you say, they're not the most optimized arrangement of stats. You use those to get gear with better stats, but you won't have to upgrade it.
To get the side grades to the static versions. So let's explain that, because this is where things get confusing. Is if I get a 330 blue, mods, why is that not equivalent to a 330 blue piece of, story mode, whatever? It's not. It's not. And if you were in tune with our stat talk in the past, when we would talk about mods and enhancement, I'll break that down. I'll give you a little bit of a high level. But you might have heard of things like, and looked in the guides where they would say, "Oh, use the use the lettered mods here, or use the unlettered version of this mod." And when they say letter, they were talking about like, I'm going to use the 94B mod, or the 94A mod, or the 94 mod without the B or the A. So if I look at this vendor, it's got a bunch of mods on it. It is like here, Resistive Barrel 100. It's not the Savant Enhancement 100. It is not Savant Enhancement 100A. It is not Lethal Mod B 100. It's just Lethal Mod 100. The unlettered versions of the mods, and when we say mods in this case, we're including all of the different parts that you could slot into a shell, even though one of them is specifically called mod. I don't know why it started this way, but it is. There is a mod, which is one of the slots, and then all of them are collectively called mods as well. But the unlettered versions are endurance-heavy versions. If you're a tank, that might be fine. You might want that. Typically, you want more put into power and tertiary stats. So for me as a DPS, when I get a set made of all of these 330 mods and enhancements and barrels, and armorings, I'm getting a full 330 blue set, but it's of the version that has a higher endurance mix of the total stats that are available. So they use a little bit more in endurance, and they take it away. Like here, if I look at this lethal mod, the power will be less and the endurance will be more. And for me as a DPS, I don't want that. And it's gonna take away from my DPS just a little bit. Whereas if I get the 330 Supreme Decurion mod from a Flashpoint, it'll have slightly more power and slightly less endurance. And I haven't looked at it specific. Oh, in fact, we could go look at it right now. I think the story mode 330 R4 gear would even be slightly better than the in stat mix where the stats are going than Supreme Decurion static pieces. So to sum that up, the static pieces will have their stats allocated, even though it's the same total budget, the stats will be allocated slightly better in the static pieces. Still, as Seema suggested and just told us, you get that full 330 modded set, and you get it for just spending credits. There's not even any other currency that you're spending to get this 330 modded set. Blast it out there. You're only using one piece to unlock them all, and I'll show you that in here in just a second. But blast it out there, and then you have and then anything that drops where it can drop a 330 static piece, will drop 330. It's not going to go less. So you want it to be up there at 330. All right, so
And
here's...
it's
Go ahead.
really kind of painless, because when I was doing it, I even didn't pay close attention to stats at all when I was doing it. I just wanted to like get it all done and then look at it. And then after I did that, I realized, well, I really want more alacrity than this. So I just went back and bought 2 or 3 or 4 more enhancements with credits. And it's the purple ones are 200K, but like you just showed, the blue ones are all 100K. It's chump change.
Right. Quick point I will address here, because Starry Saber was saying in the chat room, sounds like no point to PvPing now. There's no point to PvPing if you are trying to upgrade your PvE character to do PvE things. There is a point to PvPing to get the PvP gear, which you will get a lot faster for PvP. And then when you PvP, everything is set to 328. So 330 PvE gear will not do you any better than 328 purple optimized gear for PvP. So
Right.
if you're a PvPer, you want the PvP gear, and you're just going to run the PvP gear. That's going to be what's optimized for you. It's purple 328. It's going to have the best stat mix for you. That's where you want to go. Getting, the modded or a non-optimized 330 piece actually hurts you, because they level sync it down to 328 or maybe even 326. They level sync everybody anyway. They bring up people from the bottom and they bring down people from the top, and your stats aren't going to be as optimized. But if you, like me, were using the PvP gear as a shortcut for your PvE character, yeah, that was kind of not fair before anyway.
It was a shortcut. It was a shortcut then, and it's a long cut now.
Yeah, it's not as it's a shortcut which won't take you all the way there anymore. It did get me to I could get to full 328 pretty fast.
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
If these mods vendors weren't here, that's what I would do. I would go get to full 328 really fast, and then I would only be going from 328 to 330 doing the other things. But these mod vendors get us to 330, and then we're guaranteed to side grade to 330. So here's our dudes. Here's the 2 Rhodians. So here's where we are. We're in the 3rd bay over. Where's map? We're in the 3rd bay over in the supplies quadrant of the fleet. So it's like the middle bay, and it's probably the middle bay in the supplies quadrant of the fleet on either the Republic or the Imperial side, which is nice because it is kind of flipped on either side. So I can't say the one on the right, which is what on the Imperial side. On the Republic side, I think it's the one on the left. But these 2 Rhodians are a couple of characters. They broke out of a prison. They're escaping together. And they are, of course, cleverly named Hyde and Zeke. Hyde and Zeke. Yes. When you first come to them, they got nothing for you. They'll talk to you. They'll tell you what you need to do. They'll say, hey, are you in? Do you want to bring me, to disassemble a piece of gear so that I'll be able to take the parts? They sort of explain it this way, and this is more story flavor. They don't actually take anything from you. Disassembling a piece of gear completes the quest. So if I come over here and I talk to Hyde, there's still a couple of versions of this quest that I have not completed, and I'll show you what those look like. And I will tell you what they look like for the people that are... Why is it not? Talk to me, Hyde. Oh, because we're in a group? Let me drop out of group. I think maybe I won't do it in a group.
Yeah, why is that?
Quit group.
I guess it would be too confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the...
I noticed that earlier too.
So here, and they've got like little, they're like, oh my gosh, it's this dude. Can you believe it? Whatever they say, they're various things. Then, what is it you offer? What they're going to offer you either the first time through the conversation, and when you come back, if you haven't done all of the tiers, remember there's 4 sets of mods that you can get: 328 blue and purple, 330 blue and purple. To do each of those, to unlock each of those sets, each of those 4, you need to get the quest from this purple Rhodian. Then when you have that mission, then disassemble the piece of gear he's asking you to disassemble, which will complete the mission. Then you talk to him again, and he says you basically turn it in. What the heck? Give it to me again. I clicked the wrong choice, apparently. Which will then unlock all of the things on the vendor.
Like, I did not even really consider the 328 path. I just went right to 330.
Yes. And that's what I would recommend as well. Oops. I must already have it. So let's see. I think I do. Missions. Yes. Zeke's Deconstruction 330 artifact. So you get one of those 4. 330 prototype is what we're talking about here. That's 330 blue. 330 artifact is the purple. Here it says, so I've got the mission. Now it says deconstruct the specified item, which is artifact higher 330 or higher. You deconstruct that and you will unlock then that item class on the vendor. Great. If you deconstruct the item when you don't have the class, you don't get it. So pro tip, if you're trying to unlock things, get the mission first, then you do your deconstruct to complete the mission, turn the mission in, and then you can talk to Zeke over here. Then you talk to Zeke, and here we go. I've got show all. Yep, here, I've got the hilts on here. I was afraid I did not have these earlier. I was talking to Medulla, and he set me straight. If you want another key thing, a reason you would be doing this would be to outfit all of your alts. You could make a couple sets for alts, all 330. It's 100K per mod, enhancement, barrel, or armoring, which you could say isn't a trivial amount because you've got, we're putting like 7, 8, 9 pieces together, 3 with 3 and 7 of them. So that's 21 plus 2 and 2 of them. 25 of these. So 2.5 million. If I did all my math right, you're paying 2.5 million in mods. For a lot of us, that's chump change. It's pennies. For most people.
Well, I mean, I was not concerned about it for one character, but I do, if I sat down with a plan of doing it for some alts, I would think about if I wanted to spend that money, that amount of credits. I would think about it.
But 2.5 million. I mean, one augment costs more than that. So it's really
and I think about it.
trivial.
I think about it if I'm going to buy an augment. I usually don't buy them, but yeah.
I don't augment my alt gear sets, but
no,
yeah.
I mean, I put augment. No, I just meant that when I do augments, I usually make them.
But the other bonus here is, like, if you've got a main on the other side, you don't need to unlock these vendors for that character either. Like here for my Vanguard, I don't have to go deconstruct another blue 330 piece on my Vanguard to unlock the vendors for my Vanguard. Well, my Vanguard shares armor directly with my Merc, but like for my Sork, I will want a set for my Sork. I can just come here, I can make up a set, and I can give it to my Sork.
I didn't realize that. That's good to know.
Yeah, I was concerned when I first looked because remember it's filtered with the combo boxes at the top, for your spec. That the hilts weren't on here, but they are.
And I don't know what the deal is with that filter. It, like for me, when it was set to bodyguard, it only showed accuracy enhancements and tanking enhancements.
I have an alacrity one here for bodyguard.
Well, I didn't.
Huh.
Well, actually, I wasn't looking at the blue ones. I was only looking at the purple ones. But
yeah.
But when I put it on all, then the alacrity and the crit one showed up. But it just seems like a strange mistake.
Now, this is a sticking point, and this does bear some clarification. If you unlock the 330 artifact mods on this vendor, it is only enhancements.
Yes.
There are no barrels, armorings, or mods for 330, and that's by design. Why is that by design, you might ask? That's due to stat allocation and stat mix. A 330 Ricotta piece, which is what you want the equivalent of the static piece, the stat budget, the total stat budget is equal to 2 blue 330 armoring and mod and a 330 purple enhancement. So they only up the enhancements. Otherwise, you would be able to take a Rakata piece and get better than Rakata by putting the mods into a piece of gear, which you're not supposed to do.
Right. So like I went ahead and did the purple 330 because I just wanted to, and I had a piece that would work out. But it's really not a huge. There's really not a huge reason to do it.
Right.
Just stick with the blue 330
Right.
enhancements.
Right. There's really no reason. Like, or so earlier in the evening we were saying, and I was thinking, okay, well, I've got all the blue 330. I could get my full blue 330 set. But maybe we should go run Nightmare Nephra just to get everybody one Rakata piece so that they could deconstruct it and they get the purple 330 stuff unlocked. I was talking to a couple of people, like I talked to Medulla in particular, who set me straight on a few different things. And the key there is you're only changing the enhancement and you're only changing a tiny bit of the stat mix on the enhancement to a tertiary stat by a little bit. So the total difference for bothering to do that is so minuscule, it's not worth it. So just go full blue 330, replace it with static pieces when you can, and do vet mode R4. And Bob's
Don't forget when you are replacing or upgrading static pieces to pull your augments first if you have augments.
Very
and
good
also
question. I lost one.
Also crystals if you have crystals that you just
Yeah, if they're not
can't
out of
spare for
collections.
right.
If your crystals
But
are
yeah.
in collections, you have unlimited copies. And your tunings, you don't need to worry about it either if they're in collections. But if it's a crystal you don't want to lose, your augments. I did burn an augment.
And this one
Power will
in
be
this style,
burn.
you burned it. Yes, okay. But in this style of upgrading where you buy all the mods and stuff, you're actually constructing a new set of gear, so you're not going through that sort of invisible upgrade,
right?
Where it's going to burn your augment.
Yeah, you're only deconstructing that single piece. So take an augment out of that.
Yeah.
But you're only deconstructing a single piece to unlock all of these, and then it's unlimited. Buy as many as you want, 100K each, unlimited. You're not turning anything in, no other currency, nothing. Just
what I did too that wasn't the smartest, was just that I said I went back to my stronghold and just found an old shell set. I didn't think about this, but the one I just grabbed, it was not bind on legacy.
Not bind on legacy.
So if I do want to share the gear with my trooper, I'm going to have to pull all the mods out and put them in a different shell.
Which is probably barely worth it because pulling one
Might
of the mods out is probably
more.
like 20K. It's not going to cost more than 100K, but it's going to cost like 20K. So just keep it and give a whole set of blue, for 2.5 million. Give a whole set of blue and not have to drag the gear around.
I mean, I've been doing that for a while anyway. I like the characters having their own gear and forget about sticking them in the cargo hold and forgetting where I put them and losing them and then ending up with gear that doesn't have an augment in it, even though I knew I used to have an augment. That it's like, who ended up with the bracers that have an augment in them?
Yeah, right. The only other gear pieces then are you can't use the mods to make an earpiece or relics or your implants, which are your legendary pieces. So those you still can get to like 330 green and then side grade to 330 blues. You can get 330 green with just the conquest currency really quickly. That's not a bad way to do it. Your legendary implants, you can continue to upgrade those now. So remember, those go up to what are those cap out at now?
334, I believe.
334. So I did both mine up to 332, not to 334 yet. I see 334 on the vendor. So that's just a matter of getting this. You do need the extra currency. You need the 6.5K of tech frags. So that's why you should still be grinding out some tech frags until you upgrade all of your legendary implants for a couple more ranks.
Yep, that's my next little mission is going to be to finish upgrading my implants.
And then finally, what we'll all be doing, hopefully for fun, come join one of our ops teams if you don't have a path to do it, but R4. So then you'll be doing R4. R4 works a little bit different. R4 drops tokens that you bring over to these vendors on the fleet. So here are the two vendors. There's the story mode vendor and the veteran mode vendor. and you turn in that token when you get it to get the piece. You turn it in, and they'll give you the piece. So see here, you got to turn in an R4 gear torque story gear token to get my 328 piece. And then I think once you have the piece, then you can also unlock upgrading it. Not completely clear on this part, so don't take this yet as gospel on how to do the upgrade. But there is one other trick. So veteran mode in particular has two different sets that can go up to 340. One is couple pieces are dropping off of each boss, like 2 pieces per boss are dropping for a team of 8 of the one set. And then the other purple set, which also goes up to 340, the equivalent, gear level, but that everyone gets a token for that for completing the operation. So there's like a couple ways to sort of gear up if you're in a vet mode R4 team, where you might need to be trading tokens or optimizing who's getting those tokens for the places where you're only getting 2 dropping on a boss. And the ones that are dropping on the bosses are dropping specific token slots per boss. And I think I have that up here. Yeah, like which bosses drop which are for anomaly. Boss 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the IP daily drops head, waist, and relic. 2 of those for the team of 8. Boss 2, the dog, is legs, wrist, and relic. Boss 3, the corruption dude, is chest, offhand, and earpiece. And Dominatrix drops feet, hands, and main hand. So there you go. And those, when they're dropping them, are I think, well, they're dropping the token, and you get that token, and when you turn in that token, that's what will get you the upgrade. And it goes from 332 to 340. Additional story mode tokens and credits to upgrade their gear pieces. So you're not using ops. Oh, okay. So say I get a token. I kill the dominatrix. I get the main hand token. I turn it in for a 332 purple main hand. Let me say I'm at 330 right now. Then I would get a 332 purple main hand. I kill her again. I get another main hand token. Then I would get 334 main hand. What you would do is you would turn in the token and additional credits to upgrade the gear pieces all the way up to 340. It's the tokens plus the gear piece that gets you the upgrade, not, to be clear, and I've been very good boy and saving all of my currency, not the OP1 Catalyst. So I have nothing to spend OP1 Catalysts on. Because I'm going to get, because story mode R4 caps out at 330, which we'll just be getting as side grades directly. And vet mode R4 does not use OP1 Catalysts.
So you will spend them on upgrading your Kolomi to 330 for this mod process, but yes.
But one could, but I didn't. I used vet mode. I used master mode Flashpoint gear for my one piece that I unlocked to use to unlock the vendor.
So you're done with that part already.
Yeah. So I didn't need any Kolomi. I didn't want any Kolomi. I didn't need any Kolomi. Gondor wants no Kolomi. Gondor needs no Kolomi. So
Yeah,
interesting.
well,
So those OP1 Catalysts are going to sit around. What are we going to do with our OP1 Catalysts?
Typically, now the one catalyst that we don't have a use for is the one currency that we don't have a use for is the one that I have plenty of.
Right. And the one I've been like banking for this in particular. Yes, it's the one I have the most of. I have more OP1 Catalysts than I have daily resource matrices. They aren't useless. So here's another thing that came up in the chat just now from Starry Saber. Once you hit 330, the ops tokens are useless. They're not completely useless because the other thing that happens, or say you're at full 340 and would you ever run the operation again. There are 2 cosmetic sets on the story vendor, and there are 4 cosmetic sets on the vet mode vendor. That if you get the token drop in the operation, you can take them and turn them in to get the full cosmetic set. So there's the Delver and the Excavator set on the story mode vendor, and there's 4 cosmetic sets, which are kind of cool on the vet mode vendor, which are the Explorer, Pathfinder, Professional, and Expert.
So the ops tokens, but I think Starry Saber was referring to the ops currency, like you just pointed out.
No, Starry Saber said once you're at 330, then getting those ops tokens as drops from story mode are useless. Well, but yes, if you meant the Catalyst currency, yes, those are useless. The Catalyst currency is useless. The story mode. Now, still remember, if you've got the 330 modded gear, you want the 330 R4 story mode gear. It's going to be better, very slightly, but the stat mix is going to be better on getting the 330 story mode ops gear over the 330 mod gear.
What these cosmetic sets mean is that as a team, if you go in and you have finished upgrading everybody's gear, there's still something to do with those tokens that drop if you continue to run the ops. So it's a way of giving some lasting meaning to running the ops at that level.
Right. Which I think is kind of cool for the vet mode people that will be running it and maybe continue to run it for new people that come on the team. Having a bunch of cosmetic sets, which are pretty cool. Like these 2 vendors are wearing 2 of the cosmetic sets as an example. They are pretty cool. I do kind of like them. I like those the face plates in particular on both of them. The chest pieces are kind of cool. Some of the head pieces have like a little too much tubing on it. Some of this, like this chest piece is a little clunky on the one on the left. But still, a lot of it's some pretty cool stuff. And I like the opportunity to go after, for the long term, especially going after 4 full cosmetic sets. That's a journey for a vet mode operations team. You could run this thing many times, many times to get yourself to 340 and then collect all of those sets. So you got something to do. You got an objective there if you're up for it, if you want to do it, which is cool. All right. I know if this wasn't as concise as it could be, there are also great guides out there from SWTORista, Zamzam on mmobits.com, and Volk if you want, like a written, slightly better organized view of this. But I did have fun thinking through it, and we.
For organized presentations, this is not where you come.
No,
anyway.
We're just chat. And you come here for the entertaining chat and the breakdown and hearing us sort of go back and forth on our own thinking and how we got to where the crazy path that we took to get.
Did we just call ourselves entertaining?
Well, entertaining in the same way that like watching, watching someone get, like the funniest home videos when the dad gets hit in the crotch with the wiffle ball bat. Maybe it's entertaining like that. Boy, I really sold us there, didn't I?
Yes. I would watch us.
All right. So I think we did it. We did it, Seema. Any other notes here before we wrap it up?
I guess I'll just say, this is how I understand it today. But there might be some finer points of understanding that come to me later. It is kind of like we've used this word a lot today, but it is kind of a journey. So, I mean, do make your own decisions. Don't do anything because we said to.
Yes. And Starry Saber continues to make the point. It does seem kind of complicated. One thing you can be clear on is unless you are doing R4 and specifically, even more specifically, R4 veteran mode, none of this really matters.
Right.
You can just go get 320 conquest gear off the first vendor and go play. You could do
Yeah.
story mode operations. You could do flashpoints. You can do all of the Manon dailies. It really doesn't matter. You can go PvP in it. You only need to worry about this stuff if you're one of the people that's doing that hard content, and the people that do the hard content want to worry about this stuff. So it kind of fits. It kind of makes sense from that perspective to have a complicated enough gearing set where they can make some choices. They can figure out which path they want to take to get there, and do it that way. And then to have the slow gear path by grinding out extra bosses over and over in the vet mode. So that's where that comes from. All right, it's time for us to grind a 435 EPC droid out an airlock to broadcast this episode to all of you out there. To keep from missing out, subscribe to me on Twitch, Twitter, Max the Gray. A great place to get all the feeds and every time we go live and hints on the new shows and to come ask questions is our Discord, newoverlords.com. Discord link is in the upper right. If you haven't been there in a while, newoverlords.com did get a little bit of a makeover. Both our podcasts are now front and center with a preview of what the most six recent podcast episodes were in the feed, a Spotify list, and this podcast is now on Spotify and Stitcher. And those subscribe links for Spotify and Stitcher, which is new this week as well. Spotify is new this week for us. It was on Stitcher, and I didn't even realize for years now. But Spotify is now live for the SWTOR Escape podcast as well. So do that, and you can get to everything. Discord's a great place. Twitter is where some of the notes go out as well. For our guild stuff, Alea Yacht Est, come do our Tuesday night stuff on Starforge. You can check out our guild information at aie-guild.org. The Discord for that is in the upper right of aie-guild.org. Jump in there. We'd be happy to get you an invite to the guild as well on the Republic or the Imperial side. And with all of that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.